Good morning and good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Before Coffee. It is Friday, so it's our Friday news dump. We're going to tell you all of the things you need to know before the weekend starts. So, I don't know, you can worry about it for the next 2 days? I don't know. We have, of course, some political news, some big news in the ticket goer, festival, concert goer, sales, market, I don't know. And let's go ahead and get into our headlines. Today on Before Coffee. Germany would implement ICC arrest warrants against Israel.
And China threatens Taiwan again, and we look at the NCAA's settlement and who gets what money.
EU's far-right parties expel Germany's AfD from their group.
And classic cars fill up Cape May, New Jersey as a Bob Dylan biopic is filmed.
Live Nation sued by U.S. for monopolizing gig ticket industry.
All of those wonderful stories on Friday, which is National Road Trip Day. May 24th, 2024 on Before Coffee. Water.
First news story coming out of Germany. I guess all of these are coming out of Germany now that I think about it. Germany is in the news today. This is from the Middle East Monitor by, who is it written by? Not written by anybody, unless it's on the bottom of the page. It's written by who knows who. And it's coming out of Germany, which we already said. Germany will detain Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Defense Minister Yoav Gallant if the International Criminal Court, or ICC, issues arrest warrants for the pair, a spokesman for the German Chancellor Olaf Scholz said yesterday, which was May 23rd. Asked by the reporters if Germany would execute an ICC warrant against Netanyahu and Gallant, Stefan Hebestreit replied, "Of course, yes, we abide by the law." Hebestreit stated that this was a hypothetical question and said, "In principle, we support ICC and it will remain that way. Supporting in principle means taking the ICC's decisions seriously and implementing them." Germany said Monday, which was May 20th, that it respects the independence and procedures of the ICC while noting that it has some concerns. Highlighting that the pre-trial chamber of the ICC now has to decide on the chief prosecutor's application for the issuance of arrest warrants, the German foreign minister said, "The court will have to answer a number of difficult questions, including the question of its jurisdiction and the complementary of investigations between constitutional states affected, such as Israel. The simultaneous application for arrest warrants against Hamas leaders on one hand, and two Israeli officials, Netanyahu and Gallant, on the other, has created the incorrect impression of equivalency." Okay, so they're saying, what he basically said in big words is, actually the leaders of Hamas, which are technically supposed to be the leaders of the country of Palestine, do not stand on the same level as officials like Netanyahu and Gallant, which they should because they're both leaders of countries that have, I guess, committed atrocities. But for some reason, according to the German foreign minister, they're not equivalent in their relevancy. And actually, I'm guessing he's trying to argue that one of them is allowed to get away with their crimes because it's more important that they do. But that's what I'm reading into that quote. Germany remains one of the strong supporters of Israel's military offensive in Gaza despite growing public pressure. Chancellor Olaf Scholz has repeatedly said that Germany bears special responsibility for Israel because of its Nazi history, even though a majority of the people currently living in Israel never even were close to a Holocaust at all. And famously, in Israel, people who are survivors of the Holocaust are treated like third-party citizens and treated like crap because they're losers. Just what I've read up on myself. Berlin has been accused of being complicit in genocide by many prominent figures, including politicians and academics, as well as rights groups. In March, Nicaragua filed the case at the International Court of Justice, ICJ, against Germany, accusing it of facilitating genocide against Palestinians in Gaza by providing political and military support to Israel. It asked the court to impose emergency measures to order Germany to stop providing Israel with arms and other assistance and to resume its funding of the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees, or UNRWA. The ICJ rejected the case, though it expressed concern over the catastrophic living conditions in Gaza. On May 20th, ICC prosecutor Karim Khan said he had reasonable grounds to believe that Netanyahu and Gallant bear criminal responsibility for war crimes and crimes against humanity committed on Palestinian territories, specifically in Gaza Strip, from at least October last year. Yeah, at least. I would say at max, since 1970. Israel, well, Netanyahu wasn't in charge back then, but Israel stands accused of genocide at the ICJ, which has ordered to ensure that its forces do not commit acts of genocide and take measures to guarantee that humanitarian assistance is provided to civilians in Gaza. In other hand, Hungary would not enforce any ICC arrest warrants, according to officials in Hungary. So, Europe is a bit torn up about this, but let's not be surprised. Hungary has never been, somebody you would look up to as an example, okay? Hungary is very closely becoming a satellite state of the new USSR soon. He loves him some Putin, so. That's my story.
Okay, and more international intrigue, I guess we can call it. China is always claiming that Taiwan is part of their country, so they're doing their military drills. This is from DW.com. China says military drills around Taiwan test seizing power. China's military continued its war drills around Taiwan on Friday, testing their ability to seize power and control key areas with Chinese naval vessels and military aircraft encircling the island. These drills were launched on Thursday in response to Taiwanese President William Lai Ching-te's recent inauguration. China sees the self-ruled island as part of its own territory and has not ruled out the use of force to bring Taiwan under its control. Taiwan's defense ministry said it had tracked 49 Chinese fighter jets as well as 19 naval and coast guard vessels in a 24-hour period from Thursday to Friday. Of those 49 warplanes, 35 flew across the middle of Taiwan Strait, the de facto border between the two sides, it added. According to Chinese state television CCTV, the Chinese military sent bombers carrying live missiles to conduct mock attacks in its Taiwan drills on Friday. The two-day military exercise named Joint Sword 2024A began on Thursday, 3 days after Lai took office. Taking place in the Taiwan Strait and around Taiwan-controlled islands near China's coast, the drills aim to test the ability to jointly seize power, launch joint attacks, and occupy key areas, according to the People's Liberation Army's Eastern Theater Command spokesperson Li Ji. According to the Beijing, the drills are a strong punishment for the separatist act of Taiwan's independence forces. China has denounced Lai as a dangerous separatist. Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Wenbin promised dire consequences for those on the island who seek independence. They've been doing this forever, right? I mean, they haven't been doing this military, but they've been doing this posturing forever. So here we go. China's shaking its fist at Taiwan, saying, "We can invade you anytime we want to. We're just going to show it today. Don't you act like you're not under our thumb, because you are with your free enterprise and your, massive, computer chip production facilities." So Taiwan again getting harassed by China. And we have news from the United States on a big settlement that the colleges are paying. A college United States colleges have a organization called the NCAA, the National Collegiate Athletic Association, that basically makes all the rules for all the athletes. And they've been kind of hoarding all the money for themselves for years and years and years and years. And the athletes get, let's see, here's what you get at the bottom here. Oh, bupkis. So the athletes, again, it was a huge settlement. $2.8 billion. This is from the Associated Press. The nearly $2.8 billion settlement that has been approved by the NCAA, the nation's 5 largest conferences, is an historic step toward a more professional model for college sports. The plan, which still needs approval from plaintiffs and a federal judge, calls for paying damages to thousands of former and current college athletes who say the now defunct NCAA rules prevented them from earning endorsement money. It also calls for setting up a first-of-its-kind revenue-sharing system for college athletes, which will impact hundreds of schools across the country as early as the fall of 2025. Who gets paid now? Under the settlement, $2.77 billion in damages will be paid over 10 years for approximately 14,000 claims dating to 2016. The original plaintiffs included former Arizona State swimmer Grant House and current TCU basketball player Sedana Prince. The original claim was 8 years ago, and she's still a basketball player at TCU. It's a long time to be in college. I'm just saying. You only get 4 years of eligibility, by the way. Well, they gave 5 because of the COVID, and there was just a lot of things canceled, but you know what I mean. You can't be in college for 8 years playing basketball. Hey, my kids are on a team now. Determining how much each athlete gets is a question that will take months to figure out and involve attorneys, the judge, and the formula assessing what they are owed. Who gets paid later? The Big Ten, Big 12, ACC, and SEC, which are conferences in the college, will be making up the largest investment going forward because the settlement includes a proposed revenue sharing system that will allow schools to commit up to $21 million per year to be paid directly to athletes. The overall commitment, including damages, is expected to be about $300 per school over 10 years. How that will work is a major question that will take time for schools and the conferences to work out. NCAA rules will likely need to be rewritten. Schools do not have to make the financial commitment, but not doing so could result in a competitive disadvantage. The NCAA will cover 41% of the $2.7 billion total, with the biggest Division I conferences accounting for 24%, and the other 5 major football conferences, which are American Athletic, Mid-American, Conference USA, Mountain West, and Sun Belt, covering 10%. Conferences that compete in the second-tier Division I football, the championship subdivision, would cover about 14%, and the non-football DI conferences would be on the hook for 12%. Why are we talking about football conferences? Because football makes the most money in college football. That's their big money maker.
Wow, really?
Goes like
cool.
College football, right? There's college football, there's college basketball, including women's college basketball, and then everything else, right? I mean, there's sports and individual sports at individual universities that definitely make money, like volleyball at Nebraska, for instance, makes money. But a lot of them don't make any money. So it's kind of weird that universities going to be giving money to people. The third best swimmer is getting a check. I'm like, really? But that's what's going on here. Reduced spending, insurance, and reserve funds for the NCAA are expected to cover about $1.2 billion. The rest of the money will be normally distributed to 352 Division I schools, but instead will be withheld. So the NCAA, instead of giving money directly to schools, is just going to give it to the athletes, I suppose. One change that could have the most noticeable impact on the field is a switch from the NCAA's traditional scholarship limit to using a roster size to determine how many athletes a school can have for a particular sport. That could allow the wealthiest schools to provide financial benefits to even more athletes than they already do, trying to gain a competitive advantage. It could also push schools to be more deliberate in deciding how much to invest in certain sports. My greatest fear of all is what we're asking for. What is that? My greatest fear of all is this is what we're asking for. What is that going to do to all the sports on every campus? Florida softball coach Tim Walton said, What's it going to do to some of the programs that were relying on the conference and the NCAA for money? What's it going to do? They're dropping programs. They're dropping sports. Yes, that's true. Universities, but again, they drop sports all the time and nobody gives a shit. It's like, all of a sudden it's like, we care.
I was like, about it. That's true.
I think the people that are most upset are these board of governors, all these universities with their big fat paychecks they get for sitting on a board and doing nothing and making rules for other people. Maybe their take will go down, I would think, because there's going to be less rules. Well, if you have a university, say you have a university and you have a college, and half of your job, you actually have to hire people, maybe groups of people that are called compliance officers that are always trying to make sure your players aren't taking money. They're not taking money. Now you don't have to worry about that. They can take as much money as they want from anybody, and nobody cares. So they can get rid of all those people and save money on compliance officers. There's an idea. Unnecessary. Anyway, back to you.
Okay. Well, hopefully Taiwan stays out the grasp of China, because I know that was the previous story you covered.
Maybe they can move to another neighborhood.
Yeah, obviously.
Nope.
They just need to move somewhere else. Take all the factories and put them in the Philippines.
Pack up and move to Hawaii.
Or something. So China and the Philippines can fight over that rather than fishing grounds.
Yeah, unfortunately, Formosa is probably the tip of volcano, so you can't move it.
Okay, in more German news, I guess, because I'm talking about Germany today.
It is in a ring of fire, by the way.
Union. Off the Guardian by John Henley, Jennifer Ronkin, and Lisa O'Carroll. The far-right German party Alternative for Deutschland, or AfD, has been expelled from its pan-European parliamentary group after a string of recent controversies over its policy choices and the conduct of some of its leaders. The Bureau of Identity and Democracy group in European Parliament has decided today to exclude the German delegation AfD with immediate effect, the idea group of the populist far-right party said in the statement yesterday on the 23rd of May. The day before, AfD's lead candidate in June's European elections resigned from the party leadership and renounced all further campaign activities following criticism of comments he made last week that the Nazi SS were not all criminals. Well, okay, you start forgiving one Nazi and you forgive them all. That's a slippery slope. The Nazi slippery slope is what I like to call that. The SS weren't all bad. Only some of them killed people in the street. The ID group no longer wants to be associated with the incidents involving Maximilian Krah, head of the AfD list for the European parliamentary elections, the group said on its Facebook page. Sources within the ID group said they had sped up a decision that was due to take place after the European elections after Krah's controversial interview. It was a majority decision, with votes cast through a written procedure on May 23rd, they said. Krah's comments to the Italian newspaper La Repubblica prompted France's far-right National Rally RN, a key member of the ID along with AfD since 2019, to say this week it would no longer sit in the same group as the German party after the elections. Marine Le Pen, RN's leader, who had spent years trying to normalize her party to appeal to mainstream voters, announced on the 22nd of May that it needed to make a clean break, accusing AfD of being held hostage by its most radical elements. ID, which also includes Matteo Salvini's League in Italy, Austria's Freedom Party, FPO, and Geert Wilders' Dutch Freedom Party, PVV, and Vlaams Belang in Belgium, is the most radical and anti-EU of the two hard right groups in Parliament. I think it's so hilarious that there is an EU coalition of people who are anti-EU. It's smart for them to all team up to be anti-European Union, but as soon as they get their no European Union, they'll just be like, all right, we won, see ya, never. Because never talk to you guys again, I guess. I don't know. It's just so funny to me they're working together to basically break up the thing. Okay. It was set to be the big winner of the 6-9 June elections, with polls projecting that it would boost its seat tally from 59 to 85. But the expulsion of AfD's forecast 16 MEPs will significantly lessen ID's expected gains. It is likely to precipitate a wholesale recomposition of the parliament hard right forces. Let them eat each other so they don't eat us. However, the more normalized National Conservative ECR group, which includes Giorgia Meloni's Brothers of Italy, Poland's Law and Justice, PIS, and Spain's Vox, the Finns and Sweden Democrats may be wary of welcoming many former ID members. ID's announcement came as candidates to become the next European Commission president sparred over alliances with far-right parties in debate on May 23rd. Ursula von der Leyen, the incumbent who is seeking a second term, said she was ready to work with Meloni. The Italian Prime Minister, I have been working very well with Giorgia Meloni in the European Council, von der Leyen said. Meloni said she added was clearly pro-European and against the Russian President Vladimir Putin. The Commission chief again refused to rule out working with Meloni's ECR group, which includes some parties that many experts consider to be far-right. I consider Meloni's group to be far-right already, but... The Party of European Socialist lead candidate Nicholas Schmidt, who is currently Luxembourg's EU commissioner and reports to von der Leyen, was sharply critical of her stance. Miss von der Leyen, please bring clarity. I wonder what is pro-European for you, Schmidt said, referring to Meloni's speech at a recent far-right gathering in Madrid. He said, I cannot imagine that her idea of Europe is the same thing you have. Centrist candidate Sandro Gozzi also came under attack. His Renew Europe group will vote on the 10th of June, the day after the election results, on whether to expel the Dutch liberal VVD party over its decision to enter government with the far-right PVV. So, yeah, I think the VVD is, I can't remember what it stands for even, but... Yeah, they're the liberal group, but they've had to join with the PVV in order to make a coalition that actually runs a government, which is really weird that a liberal and a far-right group have combined together. But I guess they just wanted a government to exist. And I'm sure there's a lot of stuff going in the background. They got a lot of compromises that they wanted in order to enter that relationship. Terry Rentke of the Greens said after the election was too late, I know Renew is committed to the European project, so send a very clear signal, she said. Say it has consequences when members of Party of Renew go into coalition with the far right. Leading left-wingers on May 23rd also rejected all alliances with the far right in a joint appeal shared with The Guardian. Turbulent times require a clear course and a firm attitude. They do not tolerate vagueness or cowardice, the appeal said. Signatories from a dozen EU member states, including the French MEP Raphael Glucksmann, Frans Timmermans, and leading Dutch Labour Party PVDA member, the Spanish socialist Iriarte Gracia, and the German Social Democratic Katharina Barley. AfD has shut up on the polls to become Germany's second most popular party this year, but its support has recently dropped by several percentage points amid intense scrutiny of its increasingly radical stances. The party faced mass street protests earlier this year after senior figures attended a meeting, which we talked about on this show, where they discussed deporting of Germans with immigrant backgrounds and over allegations that it harbors agents for Russia and China. Kra's aide has been charged with spying for China, and the MEP is himself being investigated for alleged links to Russia and China, which he denies. Though he has promised to not make any further campaign appearances, he is still a candidate on the poll. Last week, a German court ruled the domestic security services could deny... Domestic security services could continue to keep the AfD under surveillance as a potentially extremist party. The party denies all allegations of racism, dismissing criticism as politically motivated. I'm just like, you want to deport everyone who has a background that isn't German. Like, that's... What is that? I guess it's xenophobic. But that could be anybody. That could be Americans. That could be Dutch people, right? Anyone with an immigrant background. But we all know what immigrant background they're talking about. Turkey.
Yeah.
You know, anywhere from the Middle East. Anyone from Africa. So it is racist. And they're not going to say it out loud. Yeah, we don't want the brown people specifically. They're not going to say that. That would be too easy. But I can guarantee you that is what's happening here. It's the same in here in the Netherlands. Now that the far-right anti-immigrant party is in power, they're going to start passing laws that are specifically targeted towards immigrants, but it's only going to be the immigrants they don't want. you can't speak any Arabic in public, or we're gonna kick you out. You know, something like. They're not gonna say something.
What's that thing you're wearing on your head? We can't allow that.
Yeah. No knives on your neck. That's not allowed. I mean, I have heard some of the things they're currently passing, which is they're limiting how long foreign students, non-EU students, basically, can be here. They're increasing tuition for those people. So if you're coming from Korea, a lot of Korean people actually come here. And if you're coming from Korea, your rates are going to go up. I'm sure American rates are going to go up too, because we're non-EU as well. But lucky for me, I've graduated from my Dutch universities, and I no longer have to pay tuition to them before they've hiked it up to $2,000.
You can be shunned in other ways.
Yeah. Well, lucky for me, I am lucky because I'm from America, which is a desired immigrant country, and we have a treaty.
And everybody speaks English there. Everybody.
But we also have a treaty, a specific treaty
everybody
with the Netherlands.
in Europe.
So there's a lot of actual secondhand safeties for me personally living here. But the countries
that was a
don't
big
have
surprise
treaties,
for me
like
anyway, was that
Morocco
everybody
and
speaks
Turkey
English.
Don't have treaties, so they're probably, a bit in a rough spot because they're the undesirable immigrant class.
Okay. On to more lighthearted things. It's Bob Dylan's birthday. Happy birthday, Bob Dylan. He's turning 83 today, and they're making a film in New Jersey about him. Another biopic about Bob, which he has to sign off. I think Bob actually gets to sign off on these things, including the actor who plays him.
Maybe.
All right, you can make a movie about me, but I want this guy. All right. My favorite is the one where they had 6 people playing him. The biopic movie. I think it's called I'm Not There, and 2 of the people playing him are Cate Blanchett and a little black child, like a black kid, like a 12-year-old kid, playing Bob Dylan, the imposter, as he was, he slides in from different musical directions. What movie is filming in Cape May, New Jersey this week? It's a complete unknown. In all seriousness, it's a Bob Dylan biopic starring Timothée Chalamet, along with Ellie Fanning, who plays a character based on the late Dylan muse Susie Rotolo, his old girlfriend, Suze Rotolo, sorry. He wrote a lot of songs about her when they were breaking up and stuff. She's the one that went off to Spain, for 2 years and never came back. And Edward Norton, who is playing folk artist Dylan mentor and critic Pete Seeger. Multiple streets in the Jersey Shore destination are filled with historic cars and multiple people in 1960s outfits for the film. Cape May is one of multiple New Jersey towns taking the role of Newport, Rhode Island, where Dylan made music history when he played electric guitar in the 1965 Newport Folk Festival. I just wanted to point out, Dylan was not the first person to play electric guitar at the Folk Festival, because they had blues singers there all the time. And blues singers all have electric guitars, at least the modern ones in the 60s. Anyway, people freaked out because it was Dylan. Oh my God, our hero, he's going to be a rock and roll star. We hate rock and roll. Local coffee shop, Coffee Time, on the Washington Street Mall, posted about the film shoots on Facebook and even got a picture with Norton. The coffee shop later shared that Norton ordered a vanilla chai with 3 shots of espresso. So Edward Norton, the most famous actor in this movie, apparently. Filming is expected to take place every day this week, including Friday. Others have shared the Chalamet and Fanning have been spotted on set as well in the back of a motorcycle. A few social media commentators who said they visited the set claimed they were told it was not Chalamet, but a stunt driver on a motorbike. Obviously, he was a stunt driver. Not going to make an actor, do that 50 times. No, they're not doing that. Especially if he gets hurt. Oh, yeah, we got to hire a new actor and then pay an insurance claim on this guy. Anyway, it's a stunt guy. What happened to the 1965 Newport Folk Festival? According to legend, the 1965 Newport Folk Festival is where Bob Dylan broke out an electric guitar and began to play. Of course, Bob Dylan didn't break out an electric guitar. He hired a band. Yeah, he had an electric guitar, but he just hired a band. He just called just me an electric guitar. No, he hired a band. He had, I'll think of his name in a minute. It was a traditional acoustic event, and some thought Dylan's decision to break an electric guitar strayed too far into rock and roll. According to the handwritten letter from Seeger to Dylan, which is showcased in the Bob Dylan Center, Seeger said he was furious at the distorted sound. No one can understand the words of Maggie's Farm. Yes, apparently Pete Seeger went looking for an axe to cut the cable for whatever reasons. They said I shouted if I had an axe I'd cut the cable, and I guess that's what I got quoted. My big mistake was not challenging from the stage the foolish few who booed. Seeger wrote, I should have said, Howling Wolf goes electric, why can't Bob? Exactly. In any case, you kept on best Pete. In any case, you kept on best Pete, the letter concluded. So actually Pete Seeger was not that mad. He was more mad at the booers. Anyway, the Bob Dylan Center's director, Steve Jenkins, told CBS's John Dickerson in 2022 that the letter showed the elder statesman's Folky coming to terms with what his protege was doing. So the legend of Bob Dylan going electric is what this movie's about. And again, like Pete Seeger said, Howlin' Wolf plugged his amps in and nobody booed him. So they were just mad because their hero was going to turn into a rock and roll star. And he never really did. He never stopped being the guy. He just said, I am tired of you people trying to pigeonhole me. And who wants to be pigeonholed?
No, I mean,
not me.
In the history of any art, right? There's always people who want to put you in a box of saying, this is the artist who does this thing, and only this thing.
He's my...
That's not what art's for. Art's for expressing yourself. It's not for putting yourself in a box.
My favorites are the people that discover a band when they're nobody, and then when the band changes their sound, they're like, oh, they're sellouts. And then they go, I'm a real fan of this band because I knew them when they were nobody, and you're not a real fan.
But also, you never bought their CDs, or you never went to their concerts.
Yeah.
you
don't like
them.
Genesis. You only like their Phil Collins work. Yeah. Okay, you know.
There's nothing worse than somebody who's a fan, but they never actually support you, and then they get angry when you change. Like, well, if you loved how I was back then, you should have supported me back then, because I thought no one cared about me, so that's why I changed.
That's true, but fan does come from fanatic, and it's not a rational thing. So,
indeed true.
All right, back to you.
Oh, short
for
story.
more culture from you.
Yeah. Well, I've got some good news about maybe good news about people who are living in the U.S. and currently having to pay exorbitant prices for tickets. Because Live Nation, which is the owner of Ticketmaster, is getting sued for monopolizing the gig ticket industry. This is from Johnny Walfitz on Euronews Culture. U.S. regulators have taken the fight to Live Nation, the company behind Ticketmaster, accusing them of operating a monopoly over the live entertainment industry that suffocates its competition. The Department of Justice, DOJ, has filed a civil complaint against the entertainment giant Live Nation for illegally dominating the market in a way which has driven away competitors and led to consumers paying high prices for worse services. Attorney General Merrick Garland said in recent years, Live Nation, Ticketmaster, exorbitant fees, and technological failures have been criticized by fans and artists alike. But we are not here today because Live Nation Ticketmaster's conduct is inconvenient or frustrating. We are here because, as we allege, the conduct is anti-competitive and illegal. In the complaint, the DOJ details that Live Nation controls at least 80% of primary ticketing at major concert venues, over 60% of concert promotions and large amphitheaters in the US. What does that mean? That means if you are going to a concert venue, they do not sell their tickets, right? You can't just go to the door and say, hey, I hear you're having a show on Tuesday, can I buy a ticket? No, they put all of that to a third party, which happens to be Live Nation. So that concert venue doesn't handle any of its ticketing. And 80% of all the ones in the US are basically using Live Nation as its ticketing group. And that's why it's impossible to bypass Ticketmaster. because there's no one else. They allege that the company Live Nation monopolizes competition by forcing venues to agree to exclusivity agreements that cover 70% of the concert ticket sales in the US. Thanks to these exclusive agreements, the company is then free to hike up prices through extraneous fees to the detriment of consumers. That's right. You ever buy a ticket that says it's only $50, but then suddenly you're paying $300? It happens all the time on Ticketmaster because you're paying fees for what? Who knows? Who knows what it's for? Back in the day, you used to buy tickets to pay the person who's playing and to pay the venue that's slotting their timeouts to the person who's playing there. And now it's gone, all that money is just going to Live Nation, and barely any of it is going to the artist or the venue. Live Nation merged with Ticketmaster in 2010 and quickly became a boogeyman in the music and event scene in the US for its infamously steep extra fees and dominance over the market. The situation spilled into mainstream news when Ticketmaster website buckled under huge demand for Taylor Swift tickets in 2022. As the website wasn't able to handle the surge in users, Ticketmaster canceled one of the public sales for the billionaire singer's upcoming tour. At the time, Swift criticized the platform. "I'm not going to make excuses for anyone because we asked them multiple times if they could handle this kind of demand, and we were assured they could." The uproar around the Swift ticket sale reignited the interest from US lawmakers around the legality of the Live Nation Ticketmaster merger. I don't have a personal story, but I have secondhand stories about this kind of situation before when BTS was touring, and they would do this. Ticketmaster has this thing where if you subscribe to them, so they gave in more money from you, not only they charging you exorbitant fees, but they ask you to pay them so that they can give you a week early access to tickets so you can get them first, right? So anybody who has this special premium membership to Ticketmaster and at their local arena, right, can get tickets before anyone else. And what do they do with those tickets? They buy them as soon as possible and then they sell them for 10 times the amount, which is also, I think, a problem that should not be happening in any situation. But capitalism, what are you gonna do? They were selling tickets for like 3,000, tickets that were in like the nosebleeds. 3,000 for this because I got this ticket first 2 weeks ago. The high fees, site disruptions, and cancellations that customers experience show how Ticketmaster's dominant market position means the company does not face any pressure to continually innovate and improve, Senator Amy Klobuchar said. Over 24 US fans filed a class action lawsuit against Live Nation following the breakdown in Swift ticket sales. Ticketmaster all ran into difficulties during the Swift tour sale when it came to Europe. The French branch of the site stuttered to a halt as ticket sales were meant to begin in July last year. Fans were first asked to pre-register their interest to receive a unique code that granted access to tickets in the city of their preference. This also happened during BTS ticket sales, and it didn't work. Because even with that system in place, French Ticketmaster site still crashed. Live Nation have responded to US DOJ's legal action claiming that it ignores everything that is actually responsible for higher ticket prices, from rising production costs to artist popularity. 24/7 online ticket scalping that reveals the public's willingness to pay far more than primary ticket prices. On fees, the company claims it retains only a modest portion of those fees. Yes, it's only 40%. It's very modest. We could be taking 90% of those fees. And the primary ticketing is one of the least expensive digital distributions in the economy, when compared with Twitch, the App Store, or Uber. They claim they aren't running a monopoly, and that the accusations are a result of current administration's populist urge that simply rejects how antitrust laws work. Some call it this anti-monopoly, but in reality, it's just anti-business, it adds. Well, I don't know why we always ask the person who's being accused of being a monopoly to defend themselves, because they're just going to deny it. I'm not a monopoly. We got that other ticket company. Oh wait, no, they're just reselling our tickets. Never mind. That one's another ticket company. Oh no, never mind. They're also just reselling our tickets for a cheaper price. That's all. At least that's all I hear about in the US gig economy. There's a lot of places you can buy tickets from, but they're all most likely reusing Ticketmaster tickets. But We'll see what this does. Maybe it will force the company to break up. I have no idea. America has been full of monopolies for quite a while. Comcast is famously an internet monopoly in the Midwest. But here's your story. Are you there?
Okay, had my mic off accidentally, but I'm back. Screw Ticketmaster.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I mean, there has to
Artist
be, when
sells
everyone
tickets
hates them,
for
there has to be an actual problem, right? It's not just in our minds.
Well, it's also the stupid people that want to pay these prices too. I mean, how is it really worth that much money to sit at a concert? A lot of them aren't even that good. I've been to a lot of concerts, and a lot of them are like, boy, what did I come here for? I can't even hear them, you know? So,
well, the other thing is, right?
You're there for the
experience. They'll put these tickets up
You're
for such a big price, and then, of course, they'll never sell as well. Like, people won't buy them. Just because they're putting the prices up there doesn't mean they're actually being purchased.
Yeah. Yeah, when you're taking out a mortgage to buy concert tickets is really a problem. Just a slight problem anyway. All right, so it's day in history, the fun thing we do every day, and it's Friday, so let's get to it. May 24th, 1689, the Toleration Act was passed by the British Parliament, granting freedom of worship to nonconformists and allowing them their own places of worship and their own teachers and preachers. I've always been a nonconformist, so that's my thing. 1822, part of the Latin American Wars of Independence from Spanish rule, the Battle of Pichincha took place in the lower slopes of Cerro Pichincha and ended in victory for South American rebels as they broke the Spanish rule. 1830, the first line of the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad opened with the maiden voyage of Peter Cooper's locomotive Tom Thumb, one of the first American railroads, the B&O as they call it, the Baltimore and Ohio. And if you play Monopoly, that's what the B&O Railroad is on your Monopoly board. 1856, a group of abolitionists led by John Brown launched a nighttime raid on a pro-slavery settlement in Pottawatomie Creek in Kansas Territory, during which 5 men were murdered. So, John Brown murdering pro-slavery scumbags in Kansas. Not that they deserved to die necessarily, but yeah, you're pro-slavery, who cares? 1928, Irish author William Trevor, who is noted for his wry and often macabre short stories and novels, was born in County Cork. He was floating around in the County Cork. 1938, Carl McGee of Oklahoma was granted a U.S. patent for the first coin-controlled parking meter, which became ubiquitous on streets around the country. 1941, American singer-songwriter Bob Dylan, who is hailed as the Shakespeare of his generation, was born in Duluth, Minnesota. 1951, in the U.S. nuclear program, the fourth test Operation Greenhouse was conducted, resulting in the first proof of principle test of a booster design in nuclear fission. Yay! 1956, the first Eurovision Song Contest was held in Lugano, Switzerland, and became a hugely popular annual event. Oh, there you go. The first Eurovision was 1956 on this day. And now it's one of those other things that people are trying to make into a, political statement or something. 1994, 4 men convicted in the 1993 bombing of the World Trade Center, the first one, were each sentenced to 240 years in prison. The terrorist attack killed 6 people and injured some 1,000. They got 240 years in prison, so let's see, it's 30 years later. They have 210 years to go. And there's prison sentences. So good luck on that, boys. Israel ended its 18-year occupation of southern Lebanon on this day in 2000, withdrawing the last of its troops from the self-declared security zone. So they're known to withdraw troops, not just put them in places. Our featured event in 1883 on this day was the opening of the Brooklyn Bridge. A brilliant feat of 19th century engineering, the Brooklyn Bridge, spanning from East River to Brooklyn to Manhattan Island, New York City, opened on this day in 1883. Designed by civil engineer John Augustus Roebling, who, it's a sidebar, died of the bends. He got the bends. Nobody knew what the bends were until the Brooklyn Bridge was built. It's a fact. The bends is where if you don't rise from beneath the sea level, where the pressure is so great under the sea, and they were building things under the sea, and if you just get on an elevator and go really fast to the surface, the insides of your body will suck right out of whatever opening they can find, because that's called the bends.
When you get deeper in the ocean, the pressure is so strong, you actually get compressed.
Anyway,
your body gets compressed. I think
that was not discovered until the building of the Brooklyn Bridge. It was not discovered that happens to people because they had to find out the hard way. Sorry.
Sadly.
What's that?
I was gonna say there's a famous video of like a water bottle. Even like if you're free diving for like only a couple of feet down.
Oh yeah.
You can get a water bottle. It's completely full of air. You can go all the way down, and that bottle will compress right into as flat as paper.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what your body does, which is why I think you need to exhale. You need to exhale when you dive. You need to exhale all the air out of your body, because if you don't do that, you're going to
if they didn't pressurize the cabin in the airplane, you'd have a problem.
Yeah.
That's
air pressure
true.
And water pressure,
and of
very
course,
important to living. Fun fact.
Roebling, John Augustus Roebling got the bends. He didn't die from it immediately, but he was incapacitated, and his wife had to finish the project, the actual on-site project work, or whatever, because Roebling was incapacitated for basically the rest of his life. Other events today. Our feature biography, Queen Victoria's birthday today. Queen Victoria was born on May 24th, 1819 in Kensington Palace, England. You know, if you're born in a palace, your life is going to be good. And she lived a long-ass time, 81 years, died January 22nd, 1901, and was the longest-serving monarch in England's history up until the most recent one, Queen Elizabeth II. It also is Sam Giancata's birthday today, American gangster. Famously, his girlfriend had a fling with JFK. We covered Bob Dylan, and it's John Broadbent's birthday, British actor, born in 1949, and Eric Cantona, French football player, born in 1966. And what days is it today? Besides, it's National Don't Fry Day. It's Friday, but it's also National Don't Fry Day. So they don't want you to fry stuff, I guess.
Eat some vegetables.
Try and stop me. Eat some vegetables, but don't fry them. Well, it just says don't fry. It just says you can
definitely
broil.
Looks like it's about
you can boil.
Sunscreen. Unfortunately.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, you're right. It is about.
Unfortunately, skin cancer is increasing, and melanoma is one of the most common skin cancers.
That's right.
So
don't fry in that way. Don't stay on the sun too long.
Prevent skin cancer. Wear your.
Just wearing a hat,
35.
just a big hat, a lot of times will get you away from that.
Also, fun fact about sunscreen.
It's national. What?
SPF isn't like
sun protection factor.
So if you do SPF 95, it doesn't mean you're getting 95% protection. It's actually, I think it's not
hours.
It's not an exponential increase.
Anything beyond.
Yeah.
SPF just stands for how many hours you can stay in the sun. Yep. Why would you stay in the sun for 95 hours?
I have no idea.
Nobody would do that.
But everyone thought
SPF
it meant
8
how
is
strong
probably all
it is. But it's not how strong it is. It has nothing to do with strength. So.
Nah.
35 is enough.
Just wear heavy clothing.
Nobody's going outside for longer than 35. So.
Dress like they do in the Middle East. Wear them big robes and free-flowing, heavy-breathing gowns and stuff that, block the sun, and wear a hat,
or the
something
people
on your head.
In the East,
get rid of most of it.
Have umbrellas,
Yeah.
Parasols.
It's also Aviation Maintenance Day, Aviation Maintenance Technician Day.
That's very important.
It's an important job. Definitely don't want that guy screwing up. National Escargot Day. So if you get snails on your plate, they're there on purpose. Don't send them back. National Scavenger Hunt Day, which is cool. Go on the scavenger hunt and make sure you wear your sunblock. It's Brothers Day. It doesn't say National Brothers Day. It just says Brothers Day. Oh, brother.
Honors the brothers in our lives.
What?
Today honors the brothers in our lives. That's what it says.
It's National Wyoming Day. For the 12 people that live in Wyoming, yay! National Yucatan Shrimp Day. It's not celebrating the really short people that live in the Yucatan Peninsula. No, it's talking about prawns. National Road Trip Day, which we mentioned today, and they got a picture of a Volkswagen bus, which reminds me of that movie Little Miss Sunshine. That was a road trip movie.
Well, that was a road trip of some sort.
Yeah, they were going to the Little Miss Sunshine contest. National Cooler Day. So, damn, it's weekend. It is, this weekend is Memorial Day weekend, 3-day weekend. And for a lot of people in the United States, it's a 4-day weekend because a lot of people now have them 4-day weekend, 4-day work weeks, or alternate 4-day work weeks, or alternate work weeks, where they get lots more time off to, goof off and recover from their horrible jobs. So it's National Road Trip, which is a Friday before Memorial Day, and it's also National Cooler Day, which is also Memorial Day related. Aviation maintenance. All of these are Memorial Day related. Aviation maintenance, because a lot of people go on trips.
And you can go through Wyoming.
Friday, because everybody's going.
You can do that road trip through Wyoming, because it's Wyoming Day.
Oh yeah, right, and that's where Yellowstone is partially. Yeah, that's right. Everybody thinks Yellowstone is in Montana, but parts of it are in Wyoming too. So I think most of it might be Wyoming.
But don't touch the buffalo, because they will.
Yeah, the buffalo will figure. The buffalo. They'll figure out what's going on. Anyway, there's your stories for today. May 24th, 2024 on Before Escargot.
All right, this has been Allison here from the Netherlands, who's already had their Memorial Day, I think at the beginning of May. So we already had our barbecue rib. I did actually have a barbecue with some ribs. It was really good. And I guess if you're out there in the U.S., don't forget to stop by the Devil's Tower in Wyoming, which is famous for a Native American legend surrounding the creation of the monolith. Has hiking trails and all sorts of fun stuff there. So giving Wyoming more of a shout out there. And we will see you next week for Mucking Fun Day, which hopefully it's not too mucking because of the Memorial Day weekend for everyone in the US. I don't think there's any special holiday coming in the EU, so I guess we already had ours. Here is your mic drop moment.
We've been on the road a long time, right?
I don't know. I don't remember. I guess maybe we have.
We've been on the road a very long time. Man, I can't make it tonight. I don't know how to cover up for it. It's something I never figured out. There's nothing I can do about it. I just shouldn't be singing. I think I'm gonna get me a new Bob Dylan next week. Get me a new Bob Dylan and use him. Just use him. Here's the new Bob Dylan. See how long he lasts. He brags of his misery. He likes to live dangerously. And when bringing her name up, he speaks of her farewell kiss to me. He sure got a lot of gall to be so useless and all. Muttering small talk at the wall while I'm in the hall. Oh, how can I explain? It's so hard to get on. And these visions of Johanna, they kept me up past the dawn. want to go home. You know what home is? I don't want to go to Italy no more. I don't want to go nowhere no more. You end up crashing in a private airplane in the mountains of Tennessee. Or Sicily.
When you stay and then when you stay in the States, I mean, when you come back.
I don't know. I just want to go home.
Be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and notify buttons, and follow our other channels, Toxic Alley, History of Gravy, and Scratchy Old Records.